welcome to 2020's first podcast of the year. We have an exciting year planned ahead, so be sure to subscribe, and that way you get all the details as they're uploaded and you won't miss a thing. Today's podcast is all about New Year's resolutions, managing expectations, and also how to plan so you can keep resolutions in your focus. Let's face it, stats are against us. About 65% of us make resolutions, but by mid-February, 80% of us have already failed. So I want to discuss why this is happening and what we can do to prevent this. So I have the wonderful and beautiful kinesiologist, Sarah Tynan, to join me today to guide us through understanding why we need resolutions and how to manage expectations and what we can do to attain these resolutions or goals. So first of all, let me share with you a little bit about Sarah and then I'll bring her in. So Sarah witnessed firsthand how kinesiology changed her life. And she wanted to be able to do this for people all over the world. So she went on to complete a full 5 years of professional kinesiology practice study, including earning a certificate, diploma, advanced diploma, graduate diploma, graduating as a qualified kinesiopractor. Now, becoming a kinesiopractor equates to approximately 3,800 hours of learning and is the most comprehensive student-centered training in kinesiology available worldwide. Sarah is now a qualified international kinesiologist and a faculty member at Kinesiology Connection College, where she teaches students about the principles of energetic medicine. She is a passionate person about natural medicine, and she will help change the way you look at wellness. So welcome, Sarah.
Thank you.
It's so lovely to have you here today. I love the beginning of the year. The energy is all about hope and, letting go of the past 12 months and seeing what the next 12 months hold. And I think that's where the energy around resolutions come. And I thought it'd be a great way to start the year because I kind of think they're good to make. Only 65% of people make it. And I think the other, 35% think, well, I'm going to fail anyway. What's the point? So I think it takes you out of your comfort zone, and I think it makes you, achieve things beyond perhaps what you think you could do. So when we're thinking about resolutions, what tips do you have to help, create the goals or make them doable, but also getting you out of your comfort zone?
Okay, so I love this topic, and I actually approach it from a completely different perspective, and it's potentially a way that people might not have ever looked at goals before. So I don't even know where to start because there's so much. But since becoming a kinesiologist, everything within me has evolved and expanded. I've come across some profound people who work in the world of energy medicine, and it's evolved past kinesiology for me now. So I look at everything from a frequency perspective, which is everything basically that governs this universe, because everything is energy. So if we learned how to play with the laws of the universe a bit more, we'd be able to have a stronghold on our life. We'd be able to literally deliberately create. And that's what I'm doing. And it's funny because now, even since we did our last interview, my practice has evolved to work with more entrepreneurs, which has been so interesting. And I tackle everything that they're doing from a frequency perspective. So now I feel like this is my favorite topic. So the first thing I will say is that your goals need to be in alignment with you, and for a lot of obvious reasons, and the alignment term or the word has been thrown around a lot, but I'll just define alignment from my own perspective and my journey that I've gone on with entrepreneurs. And I work with entrepreneurs from all over the world, and literally I've worked with them from when they've started up until they hit their 7-figure mark. And obviously all along the way, it's about refining goals. So alignment is working with what is true to your soul, what's really authentic to you. And the first reason why people don't achieve New Year's resolutions or any sort of goal or resolution, it's because it's simply out of alignment to who they are. So alignment is what makes your soul sing. And if you're not sure whether something is in alignment for you, I always just ask yourself the question, does this feel light or does this feel heavy? And this is hard because we really have to pull ourselves out of the logical mind. The logical mind has a very limited perspective, to where when you go based on your soul, on what your soul wants, it doesn't feel light or heavy. And lightness doesn't necessarily mean that it's not scary, because scary things can be in alignment. Scary things are obviously pushing yourself out your comfort zone, but it is in alignment to what your soul wants. So that's your first question to yourself. Does this feel light or does this feel heavy? Is this in alignment? And another thing with regards to alignment is it your authentic truth? Are you doing this because it's authentic to you and what your soul needs, what your soul wants? Or are you doing this because maybe it's going to impress someone else? Maybe you're trying to keep up with the Joneses. You know, is it something outside of you? Are you trying to please an external need? So if you're trying to please an external need, that is not alignment. That is not authentic to you. You always need to do what's fulfilling to you internally first.
Yeah. That's really so true, because I think you kind of lose a sense of yourself in amongst what the society's message is constantly at, and it's at you from the time you're born, and whether it's coming from, you know, your teachers or with your parents, and you lose track of who you actually are and what you want, because this expectation is put upon you. And I think you kind of adjust to the fact that something probably feels heavy, you know, or I must have this job because then I'll be seen as successful, or I must be this size because then I'll be seen as healthy, or, you know, and I think
1,000%
trying to, you know, how can you, you know, that's okay. So if you recognize something's not in alignment and you're traveling down this path, and then you have people coming in going, oh, you know, why don't you do this, or why don't you do that? Because everyone has, you know, their own opinion about everything.
Of course.
How do you kind of block out that sort of, and everyone comes from, you know, well-meaning, like, you know, parents are well-meaning, and, you know, friends would be well-meaning and so forth. But how do you kind of block that out to keep true to yourself?
This is something I work with a lot, as you can imagine, because it's something everyone struggles with. So it's a really relevant question. I would say there was a stat, and I forget the exact number, but it was like 85 to 90% of people aren't happy with their job. So can you imagine that percentage of the world living out of alignment with their soul? And so basically it's a programming. So we've been programmed to take a certain course, exactly like what you said, but there's a point where being in that programming and being out of alignment is too painful. So you will have to be willing to risk the unknown. And this is a thing I work on with clients, because they, you know, taking the leap and working with the unknown is something that we're programmed to do against. Our subconscious mind is there to try to, our conscious mind even is there to try to keep us safe and to try to keep us comfortable, because it wants to keep us alive. But we have to be really open to the potential that, you know, the next phase in our life is going to be working within the unknown. But when you do that, you experience the most expansion. So if we bring it back to creating resolutions and goals, I actually I approach this with a completely different perspective. So the first thing people need to know and just have an awareness around is that everything they do it because they want to feel an emotion. Everything they do, whether it's they're making a lot of money, whether it's, you know, whatever goal they want to obtain, whatever it is, there's, you know, no judgment around what anyone wants to create, but they do it because they want to feel a particular emotion. That is what drives every single one of us. If you peel back the layers, it's because we want to feel something. So when you are creating a goal, or you want to achieve something, the first step is alignment. Is it aligned? Is it because it's your soul's truth? Is it because it's a purposeful, fulfilling thing that you want to accomplish? That's the number one step. Does it feel light or heavy? Is it authentic? The second step is, what does that goal feel like? Because here's the thing, what you have to actually do is embody the emotion of the goal. And this is the hard part for everyone. The second step to this, if we include the alignment as the first step, so this would be a third step. Second step is embodying, figuring out what the emotion of that feels like to already have accomplished it. The third step, and this is really hard, is to not consider the how. So This is a really
so
hard.
say you have a goal. I'm going to make it really simple. Say you
Yeah,
have a goal. I want to lose 5 kilos. Let's just say.
great. Yeah.
Um, I will feel healthier and happier being that much lighter. So I
Yeah,
have to feel like it's already happened.
100%.
So I've lost
Yeah.
it. I feel good. I feel lighter. I
Yes.
feel energetic. I feel like I can utilize the hours in the day better because
Totally.
I've got more energy and fitness and so forth. Right.
That's exactly right. So
Okay.
any entrepreneur I work with, I say, who is that done? I call it the done person. Who is that person who has already accomplished that? And there's a
Okay.
few reasons for it. The first reason is if we look at everything from a frequency perspective, again, we all are emitting a frequency, whether we know it or not. We actually all are manifesting, not deliberately, but we all are manifesting, but we do it from a place of the emotion that we embody. So if we're embodying the emotion of, oh, I'm overweight, I'm, feeling sluggish, I don't have energy, you're embodying that frequency. What are you going to replicate out into the universe? You're going to replicate that same story, and that universe will show you that back in your experience.
Yeah.
So if you're, it's great to, want to have that, but if you're in that state of always wanting it, your experience will be wanting it.
Yeah.
If you embody the place from it already being done, you get out of your own way, because the universe will have to, it's a universal law that when you embody the frequency of already having done that, you get out of your own way, because the universe will show you that in your experience. And it's not up to you to figure out the how, because when you hold on to too much of the how energy, it carries a lot of doubt.
Yeah.
Because then your conscious mind tries to get in the way and think, well, is this even possible? Or how's that going to happen? And this has,
There's fear. There's, am I wasting my
yes,
time? Am I
yes,
on the wrong path? There's all those sort of questions
yes.
that come up, which are roadblocks to get the
And
success.
that's right. And I'm never saying don't take action. That's not what I'm saying here. What will happen though is you will feel inspired to do specific things, and you just take inspired action when the inspiration drops in. So I do this for example, to book out my clinic. And this is it's like when you really embody this, like it took me a really long time, because I think to myself, well, why am I not booked out this month? And I start to thinking to the lack of what I didn't have. But when I stopped doing that and started just embodying I'm so grateful that I'm booked out, and the done state, I just got out of my way, and, people would start emailing, or I'd get inspiration to do a mailer or a live stream or whatever. And all I did was follow that.
Okay.
And when you can be in a complete state of detachment and that it is already done, the universe sorts it out for you. And sometimes in way bigger ways than you could ever realize. One of my coaches that I work with, he has a coach as well, as most coaches do. But the way it works when he enrolls with his coaches is he has to put up a really massive amount of money up front, and then he has the rest of the week to pay the rest of the fee off, which if he didn't, he'd lose the first lump sum of forget with 15 or 20 grand. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah, so, it's a bit of money to work with. So we aligned him to the energetic state of already having the money, it's already done. And, it's a very hard thing to do, especially when you have that much money at stake, you can imagine. And to not be attached to making it happen. When you attach yourself, you really constrict yourself off, because attachment says to the universe that you don't think it's going to happen, that, you need to have a hand in this. You're afraid it's not going to follow through or come through. So you just completely detach, like literally you're living in an existence of it being done. So that Friday, I think the day the money was due or the day before, he ended up getting his biggest paying client. I think it was like a 60K client.
Oh, wow.
And that was more than we could have imagined. Like we were both like, you have got to be joking me. Like I work in this every day, and sometimes it still blows me away.
Yeah.
But that is a prime example of being detached, being in the energetic embodiment of it being done, and then just letting the universe sort it out, because he could. There's so many things that you cannot control. You can't control whether you're going to get clients through. You can't control, if people are going to contact you, but you can control the energetic frequency that you embody.
Yeah.
And when you embody that frequency, the universe will replicate that in your experiences, and in bigger ways than you could imagine. This is why you keep the logical mind out of it as well.
So the thing is, we're programmed from the time we're born.
Yes.
I even, it's really enlightening having a child, because you realize messages that perhaps you were told, you start saying to
Yes.
them, or you see the interactions with others and you kind of going, oh, no, 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 don't say that. What do you say? Why are you saying that for?
Yeah.
So if you're essentially, say, in your 30s, 40s, 20s, whatever it is, so you've had potentially 20 to 40 to 50 years of this constant
Hmm.
programming, and suddenly you have to feel this release of not trying to control your circumstances, because we've been raised to believe you work hard and
Of
it,
course.
pays off. And I did read that book you recommended last time, Jerry and
Oh,
Esther
Esther Hicks.
Hicks. Yeah,
Yes.
that's it.
Yes.
It was interesting because I was going through various pages and stuff, and one thing that resonated, he was saying he's worked with lots of people, and you have those people that work really hard, and
Mhm.
they do everything they're told to do, and pretty much everything that everyone's doing that is successful, they follow the blueprint and they don't get successful. And then you have someone else who is pretty laid back about it, and just in the moment, whatever they're doing, and
Yeah,
they just have all this successful onto their lap. And
that's
you know
right.
that's something I think we're so I think we adopt this persona of I'm just unlucky, or bad
Yeah.
things happen
Life
to
is
me.
hard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
life is always
Yeah.
going to be hard for me.
You
And
have to
I'll be guilty of
hustle.
that. I've said that. I was
Same.
even talking to someone the other day, a few weeks ago, and I had to work through that, because I was like, gosh, it feels like my whole life I've been fighting to be healthy, and to, and through talking about
Yeah.
it, realizing that those years that I spent with my skin, I know we're completely digressing now, but those years I spent working on my skin has
No.
helped me be the person I am today. So it's actually looking back and reflecting, going, they were actually good years, not necessarily looking at it from a bad energy, but going, okay, I'm actually grateful that happened, because now I am who I am. But okay, so tips on changing that mindset. Any insight you can kind of direct someone who feels really stuck and can't get out of their head and can't create that, feeling of manifesting beautiful things in their life.
Yeah.
How do you shift that?
This is a really beautiful question, and again, it's something everyone struggles with, including successful entrepreneurs. Everyone, including myself. So the first thing, it's interesting. The way I work in my clinic is I ask people what is it that they want, because they can, they'll pour everything onto me, everything that's not working out, and everything else. But I'll always catch them off guard with the question, well, what do you want? And it's like, oh, not well, they know everything that's wrong, but they aren't fixated on what it is that they want or everything that's actually going on that's really good. So that tells me exactly one of the reasons why they keep creating the same patterns and the same cycles keep showing up. It's because that's what they're fixated on. So what I do, and in our mind, we have something called a subconscious loop, where we loop the same stories over. It's like a record player, over and over and over. Whether it's, an argument we've had someone, or we're having an argument in our head with someone, or, we're thinking about the bills or what needs to be done, or the messy house, or, a lot of people are subconsciously looping really negative things and they don't realize it. And I am so guilty of this. So what I do is is I used to be, I'm not definitely very aware of it now, but I tell my entrepreneurs or anyone that works with me is that I just say, set an alarm on your phone 5 times a day, and have that alarm pop up, and just ask yourself one simple question. What is it that you want? And in that moment, you will have that sort of conscious awakening that, oh my God, yeah, I've actually been in really negative thought patterns for the past 3 hours or whatever it's been, and then when you it's called pivoting, and it's a concept from Jerry and Esther Hicks. But when you go down that road of negativity and you pivot yourself to start thinking about what it is that you do want, not only do you start scratching that subconscious record, you're going to start reprogramming that looping system to start thinking about things that you actually want. When you think about what you want, you embody the frequency of what you want. And then you're going to start reprogramming your subconscious mind to think about all the things that are good, that you appreciate, that you're actually wanting to create, that you're going to get excited about. And that's when you all of a sudden realize everything you think about is about the good and what you appreciate, what you're grateful for. Yes, not everything's going to be perfect, but you're going to be fixated on the things that you actually do want to create. therefore by default, you're just going to start embodying the frequency and manifesting it effortlessly.
Okay, sounds good. So like a reminder you would have to perhaps meditate, you know, I always say to
Correct.
patients, if they can kind of set a time in the day, just 10 minutes to sit in their own thoughts, you're kind of
Yeah.
reminding yourself. And does it follow a similar principle as, say, we understand in Chinese medicine to, you know, any sort of new or change in diet or change in lifestyle takes 6 weeks to kind of become a learned behavior? Is that similar with this?
Yeah.
Is it like a 6-week process?
Definitely. And sorry, I think you can hear my daughter.
That's all right. that's all good. She wants to contribute. I've got my little opinion too. I need to contribute.
Oh, oh, Miss Emo. Okay, this is Ella.
That's all right. She can join us.
Good day, Ella. Okay, there you go.
It's holidays, so what do you expect? Kids are going to be home.
I knew this was risky, but it was so hard to coordinate our times.
I know. No, it's all good. It's all good. My husband's walked into an interview like, you know, I was like, what? So
this is real life, people.
Yeah. He just wanted a bit of a cuddle.
Hold on. Hey, Ella, go out in the living room. Oh. Okay. Yes. So we have to be very aware of the subconscious mind because that controls over 90% of what we do. Yep. But realize it can actually have us trapped in negativity. And this again is part of the mass programming. We're all programmed to think about everything there is to worry about or the fear, but it's all up to you to change it. And I always just say, you know, if you're living in an unhappy place, if you're living, you know, unfulfilled or, you know, not feeling guided by your purpose, then you have to know that that's a choice. Whether, you know, you are being governed by your subconscious mind, you know, sometimes it doesn't feel like a choice, but not doing anything about it is a choice. So we have to actually choose. We have to choose differently. Yeah. And that's a conscious thing.
So my question, this just popped into my mind because I feel I need to get into a bigger house. I feel like I've outgrown this house. My little boy loves the house. He's like, no, I don't want to leave. This is beautiful. My husband wouldn't mind either way. So if you have this aspiration that would impact someone else, so let's just say buying a bigger house or buying a different type of house, and you've got someone who has got that negativity, and then you've got someone who's got the positivity in doing everything that you're saying, does that override someone else's negative energy, or does the negative energy bring the positive down?
Okay, so this is an amazing question because I just literally went through, we're in a new house now. I just literally went through that whole experience. And so bizarre. Okay, so everybody has their choice to embody. Can you hear that in the background?
No, that's okay. It's fine.
Okay. Everybody has their choice to embody whatever frequency they want. You can't, it's not about necessarily overriding a frequency or anything like that, but it is literally about embodying your state of it being done. Before we manifested this house, I knew it was like, well, this house is too small for us. You know, there needs to be something different. And I just sat in I remember the day I sat looking at houses all day, feeling overjoyed. Like I knew I was deliberately doing that, but I was just like, oh my God, this is amazing. This is happening. Even though I was in the same circumstances you, like, can we do this? Does the husband want it? You know, all of that stuff. And when you fully and completely embody the state of it's done, like it's happening, like you are in control. You are in control of. Okay, Emma. You are in control of everything you experience. Bottom line, nobody in your life will. They do impact you, but if you are really steadfast in the frequency you embody, it cannot help but come into your existence. So what will happen is if you are just unshakable in your embodiment with the new house, you will start shifting the dynamics with the people that you're close to. So for example, if you just, without even, you know, like I said, it has to be just an unshakable thing, recognize when the doubt creeps in, because it will inevitably, and that's fine.
Yeah,
but if you were just like, this is happening, like, oh my God, I'm so grateful it's done, you know, like the done feeling, then all of a sudden your husband will come around and be like, hey, yeah, I saw a house on, you know, it's just, you will end up shifting your own dynamics, because the universe has to replicate whatever you're embodying emotionally. So when,
yeah, sorry,
oh, go ahead.
I was thinking of the impatient person listening to this. So if someone's listening going, okay, I'm good at following instruction. I'll do what you're saying. I've got my alignment. I feel really good about this goal, whatever it is. I want to change the way I think. I'm going to program it in my phone 5 times a day. I'm going to make sure the recorder changes. I'm going to do all this stuff you're saying.
Yes.
How long will it take?
Oh God.
How long do I get that shiny red car? Or how long until I move to the coast? Or
People, honestly, this is one I have not mastered, but I will say that this is the biggest place where people sabotage themselves. Honestly, it is one of the biggest places. So, okay. What you need to do, there's so much I want to say here, but what you need to do is start looking for the evidence that it's coming, because you need to hold on to that embodiment. So you think of manifestation like when you go to a restaurant and you put it in order. Yes, we do get a little impatient, but we are not going to know the exact minute of its delivery, unfortunately. But the other thing is that what happens with people is that they get impatient, or they get into a doubt space, and then they start changing their goals. So they just think, oh, well, maybe this isn't going to happen. Okay, instead of, I'll just use my clinic as an example. So instead of 20 clients a week, maybe I'll manifest, maybe 10 will do. And then so you're changing the mark. So it's like, if you go to a restaurant and you put it in order, you trust that it's done. It's going to come. You know that's going to be the case. But imagine if you said to the waiter, actually, no, I want this. Yeah. And then he came back and said, okay, and then you're waiting, it's not coming. And then you go, oh, actually, no, I want this. So you keep changing, and the universe doesn't know what you want, and you're not getting any of it because you haven't been steadfast in your belief that it is done. Okay. So if you get trapped in this as well, then you have to peel back some layers of, do you feel you're worthy of having this? You know, do you feel that you deserve it? The worthiness and deserving will also block the allowing. Yes. Mommy, I want Cinderella. Can you edit this?
No, I want to keep it in. Remind me that it's not just me this happens too.
Oh my gosh. Ella, there's not a Cinderella one. I want that one. How about this one? Oh my God. So it takes a lot of work, but honestly, when you see things created in this way, you will never go back. Because I've been in that. I worked in corporate for 10 years. I did the hustling, the grinding, the pushing, and you do get results from that. There's no doubt, but it's limited because it's from what you can perceive is possible. When you start playing with the laws of the universe and energy, it is unlimited, and things work out effortlessly for you. This whole move was effortless for us. Like, you know, I didn't buy into the belief that it's one of the hardest things you could do, and everyone was telling me it's so stressful. You know, I just held on to what it was that I wanted to embody the whole time, because I know from experience, I know from working with entrepreneurs that is your superpower. Yeah. That is the one way you can deliberately create. Yeah. And really be in control of what you're experiencing. And again, I'll go back to everything that you do is to embody an emotion anyway. So just embody that emotion now. And the other thing that happens if you don't think about what you want to feel is that you might accomplish that goal, but then you're just like, oh, okay. You don't really feel excited when you do. Yeah. So that's the other thing that happens when you don't reach for that emotional embodiment.
Yeah. And that leaves you unfulfilled again. So, you know, you hear of those, you know, massively successful billionaires that aren't happy. They've got everything that everyone seems to be striving for, and they have it, and they're just not happy. So that's because of the misalignment with what their soul authentically wants.
100%. Yeah.
So to get centered in that space, do you recommend something like journaling or
Yeah.
listening to something, or how do you get,
Yeah.
if you're so used to the hustle and, you know, like you said, being in the corporate world and energetically, I go to seminars periodically, haven't been for a few years now, but whenever I go into the CBD here in Melbourne, you know, I'll catch the train in because I hate driving, and I'm just walking on the streets, and suddenly I find myself walking really quickly,
I
and
know.
then I've got like, you know, an hour to get there, and I've left plenty of time. I suddenly start walking
Yeah.
really quickly, and everyone's really stressed, and this is the beginning of the day. So I guess trying to change that headspace.
Yeah, it's a journey. It's a
Mm,
journey. And I actually had one of my conscious awakenings doing the same thing. I came off the tram and I was just like looking around going, how many of these people are actually excited to go to work today? Like,
mm,
and I'm actually one of them, you know, like
yeah,
I'm the unhappy ones, you know, like you just look at, you know, these blank faces and it's just like, here we go. You don't even know how you get to work. You just end up there. You're just so unconscious. So
mm,
yeah, it's like I said, just start with little things. Like try a coffee. Try to, you know, just be super grateful you got a free coffee and have that embodiment and see when that happens. And then, you know, just take it a step further and further and further. I'm not telling you to reach for, you know, big embodiments now if it feels impossible. Don't do that. You know, reach for smaller ones now until you really have faith that this is actually how the universe works. So
yeah,
if this is like all this stuff is proven by quantum physics, and you look at Dr. Joe Dispenza, he's literally a
mm,
neuroscientist proving all of this stuff with like all of his insane medical equipment, and he's studying people doing meditation, and he talks about all of these principles,
yeah,
and including healing your body as well.
yeah.
So this is real. I know it seems a bit out there, and these are very foreign concepts for a lot of people, but I've lived in both worlds. I lived in the corporate world. I worked, you know, for a corporate company for 10 years. I've lived in both worlds, and I know which one I prefer.
Yeah, and I think it's this whole, like you said, you made a comment about keeping up with the Joneses, and this expectation of what is seen as being successful. And you know,
Yeah.
my husband always jokes around, you know, because people comment, "Oh, your little boy is so cute," and he's like, "Oh yeah, we're taking applications for his future wife." And I'm like, don't even say that. I go, we're not going to have any input into what road that he's going to go on. That's going to
Yeah.
be his own. Don't even say it. And he's like, I'm just
Yeah.
kidding. And to me, it's
Yeah.
just, oh, no, that's completely wrong. I don't agree with that.
It's so interesting because you have to have initially when you go on this path, you have to have such a keen awareness of your alignment. So anything, does this feel light or heavy? When you're looking at Instagram, does this feel light or heavy? If you're looking
Yeah,
sideways at what everyone's doing, does this feel light or heavy? You
yeah,
kind of have to isolate yourself into your own energy and keep your power. Like every time you feel discouraged or depleted or frustrated that you're not doing more, you're giving your power away. And so
yeah,
stop doing whatever it is that's making you feel that way. And that again, you will feed your life force energy when you do that, and you get your power back. But people don't realize, because they do it so unconsciously, that they are giving their power away so much by looking at everything else and what everyone else is and trying to mirror them instead of going within.
yeah. And I think, as you said, whether it's in business or it's private, you know, school kids at school, school is such a, you know, very focal time in someone's life where you feel like everyone's watching you and you've got to belong, and if you do something different,
Yeah.
it's going to be ostracized, and then you suddenly finish and you're going, oh wow, you know, this world is a lot bigger than school, and no one cares if
Yeah.
whatever I do now. And you know,
Oh.
it's I think any stage in your life, this is probably an important message, and to tell
Oh.
kids from a very young age to stay true to their own desires and
Oh
what they
my,
want to do.
so important. I just think, yeah. I mean, obviously, I wasn't meant to know about this earlier in my 20s, but I just think, you know, I would have made so many, who knows? I'd eventually end up on this path, but, you know, it's
Yeah,
a detour in the right direction. But yeah,
I
it's
think
like, I just,
yeah, I was going to say lots of people will say, if I knew what I knew now in my 20s, but I think you
yes.
know what you know. You know, you think
Yeah.
you know what you need to know until you later find out there's more to know. So you make decisions based on,
that's right.
What you feel.
I'll have my 50-year-old self saying, oh, I wish I would have known that in my 30s or whatever.
Constantly growing. Yeah. So any books you
Constantly.
can recommend for anyone?
Books, yeah, I would read
Dr. Joe
Dispenza, Becoming Supernatural, definitely.
Okay. What about,
so
there's the one he's written, Changing, is it Change? I've got it here somewhere. Changing.
Yes, I know the one.
Yeah, I can't think of it now. I've got it.
Is it the Becoming Supernatural just solidifies everything I'm saying and backs it up with science.
Yeah.
Then he has a few other techniques and meditations that are good. And yeah, everything he talks about is in terms of frequency, and whether it's deliberately creating your reality or healing your body. I mean, he has some insane stories from his followers of people who have healed, things that could never be healed, or, whatever else. The power of the mind.
Yeah. And that's the thing, we need to be careful and mindful of, to not, when someone's struggling with their health, to not give them, negative outcomes, and there's a huge energy around things like cancer, and as soon as you've got a diagnosis, that energy just comes into your life, whether you want to or not, because that's kind of how it's being programmed in our society.
Yeah, people lose their power straight away. Yeah. They lose their power straight away, and they give it to everyone around them, in fact, because, which is fair enough. Who knows how my reaction would be to a diagnosis. Yeah. But the biggest thing is for people that they need to understand is that they need to stay in their power. And what I mean by that is just anything that makes them feel less than who they are, don't give a second thought to it. Don't give any, you have to think of things that you're creating or energies that you're embodying like an actual entity. Like, what are you feeding? Are you feeding it positivity, or are you feeding that negative entity the negativity? And the more, whichever one you feed more is whatever one will grow.
Yeah.
So you have to think of it in that way. So apologize for my daughter.
That's all right. I think it's a great place to end the episode, because I think I don't want to over confuse it, and I think keeping the elements quite simple, being aligned, staying true to yourself, being reminded of changing the recorder, the message that you've perhaps programmed for so many years, and new recordings, and I guess reading some resources. But I think also, if people want to reach out and work with you, how do they do that? How do they get onto your website?
Yes. So I do Skype sessions. So I work with people all over the world. So I can literally tap into their energy, into you basically energetically, and work out all of the subconscious blocks, everything that's holding you back. So just go to my website, www.freemekinesiology.com. Or email me at sarah@freemekinesiology.com. But these concepts are such a great place to start. So think about alignment. Think about, does it feel light or heavy? And I'll also say as well is, like, what's a hell yes in your life? What's a hell no? We know what the hell no's are, but what's the maybes? What are you on the fence about? Because those maybes are the biggest things that suck your life energy as well. So that's misalignment. So think about that. So think about your alignment. Think about what the emotional embodiment of your goal feels like, and just be in that energetic state as much as you possibly can. And then obviously your subconscious looping, scratch it like a record, and then start reprogramming it by just asking yourself a simple question: what is it that I want?
Yep. Sounds great. I'm excited. Bring on 2020.
Yay! Bring on 2020. And thanks for having my daughter. Oh my God.
My son's not here, and if he was, trust me, he'd be having a bit of a chat with her and wanting to hang out a bit. So I completely understand.
If I wasn't doing a podcast interview, she wouldn't care less where I was. Because I'm doing a podcast interview, she's all up on the grill.
That's so funny. No, I completely understand. I'm a parent, so they work on their schedule, not yours.
I know.
But I'll have you on again, because I just love I love your message. I love how the way you look at things. I love the positivity behind everything. And when you have that positivity, it doesn't matter what you're going through, you can really flip it and look at it from a different perspective. And that's what empowers you to get through any struggles you have in your life, because everyone has challenges, and we wouldn't exist on the planet if we didn't have challenges. So
that's exactly right.
I really appreciate your time, and I know it's a holiday season, so you've taken your private time out to join me. So I thoroughly appreciate it. And
it's my pleasure. Thank you so much.
2020 with your family, and
you
enjoy the move.
Yes. Oh, yes. It's unpacking now.
Yeah, and it's putting things where you want them, and different energy. I actually, in my clinic, I shifted. This was a couple months ago. I just had this overwhelming sensation to just move stuff around in this room. I've got 2 rooms. It's a first room, and I tried a few ways and it didn't work. And then I'm like, I'm going to put it here, and I'm like, yes, that feels really good. And the amount of patients that came and go, actually feels much better in here. And it was just making a few shifts. I turned the bed around, and so many, and they're still saying it now, even if they've come a few times, they're like, I really like what you've done with this room.
That's energy.
So
that's energy.
That's what you can do with your new house. Put things in a different way.
Yes. And get rid of old stuff, like all of it.
Oh gosh, I love getting rid of old stuff.
Me too.
I'm the opposite of hoarding, that is. All right, I'll end this podcast.
I'm the opposite.
Get back to your little girl.
Oh, okay, thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us today. And as I said before, subscribe, leave any comments or questions below, email me at info@salubre.com.au. Be sure to check out Sarah's website, freemekinesiology.com, or email her at sarah@freemekinesiology.com. And stay tuned for our next episode. We're starting a wellness challenge in February. So I'm going to have a whole lot of guests to help you navigate through various changes you want to make in February. And so we've got 29 days this year. So we've got an extra day to make changes. So stay tuned and be sure to let us know if you need anything at all. Bye for now.